been 6-7 months since my last podcast, and I think I left you guys with just around the corner from going to Rhinebeck for the first time ever. And so all of a sudden I just fell off the face of the earth, at least in the YouTube world. So I figured it was about time to catch up with you guys. So Rhinebeck was amazing. My mind was just blown the whole time. I've never been to anything quite like that or even close to that. So it was definitely something that I will always remember, and I definitely want to go back again. So I'm trying to think of where to start with this. I'm trying to think of the projects, because I did watch my that last video just to kind of catch up and remember where I was and like what I was working on, because you know, after 6-7 months, there's no way I'd remember that off the top of my head. I don't have that good a memory. So I was making a baby blanket with Charisma yarn, and that was the Biased Baby Blanket by Vicki Howell. I did finish that and gifted that to my nephew, who has, since that video, they've had their baby boy, and he is just beautiful. And so I also made these little itty bitty socks that were also by Vicki Howell. They were from the same book. I think it was hot.mess.knits, I think was the name of the book. And I had finished those. And then I made a baby hat, which was a pattern by Pearl Soho. And that was in, I think it was the Bernat Sheepish yarn that was made by Vicki Howell as well. I don't have any of those to be able to show you, and for whatever reason I totally forgot to take a picture of the blanket when it was finished. I believe I have a picture of the hat and the socks, so I'll insert those at the end, because I figured I would make, at the end of my podcast, I'll attach photos from Rhinebeck and projects that I've finished that I no longer have because they were gifted, or things like that. So that'll be at the end of the video. And let's see. So I think that's what I was working on. I think I showed a blanket that was finished, and so since then I've obviously started new projects. Let's see, what did I start? Started and finished, I should say. Let's see. I'm gonna save Rhinebeck for after I show like the things that I have finished, that started and finished since the last video. I've got lots to show, or at least to me, I guess it seems like a lot. So the spindrift shawl I cast on, I think it was either the day before or the day of heading to Rhinebeck, because it was, oh shoot, I don't remember how long of a drive it was. Was it 5-6 hours? Maybe less, maybe more. Don't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, it was a decent drive to be, and I was the passenger for the drive, and so I was able to knit. So yeah, spindrift shawl, which was by Helen Stewart, and I used yarn that I had in my stash, Manos del Uruguay. I live up on the top of a hill in the countryside, and the weather's nice out today, so we've got side-by-sides driving by, if you're wondering what that noise is. By Manos del Uruguay, Alegria, and it was the colorway Agave. And so I had finished this, I want to say in November. I think it was right around Thanksgiving time. And I had posted pictures on my Instagram, but I had not blocked it. And so it did not get blocked until I think it was just this past month, or within the matter of a couple of weeks. And so it took me forever to get around to blocking it, but it turned out fantastic. And so I was actually wearing this a lot over the past couple months, but for whatever reason, I just didn't take the time to block it. I think just because it was gonna take, you know, a day or two to dry, because I soak it, and then, I mean, I do wrap it up in a towel and step on it and things like that, but to try to speed up the process. But nonetheless, this is started and finished since the last time I saw you guys. And it was just a beautiful pattern. Helen Stewart, I love her patterns. She just does a great job. So start and finished, this is done. I made a pair of mittens also. I think I got one mitten done while we were at Rhinebeck, or the drive back, which was in a chunky yarn. It was Wonderland yarn, in the colorway Tweedledum or Tweedledee-Dum, which I think I bought it just because the colors popped, and it was just a cute name, with it having a nod to Alice in Wonderland. So these are the, hopefully I pronounce it correctly, Pesco Vegetarian Mittens by Vera Villaput. And so it's got just kind of almost a V-shaped or chevron shaped with pearl bumps pattern on the top, and then just stocking it on the palm. And I actually cut it really close with the yardage that I needed for the pattern. And so I think what I actually did was I stopped a few rows shy for the cuff, just to make sure I had enough to be able to finish both mittens, because I only had one ball of yarn for this yarn that I had, and I had that oh man, since 2011 I think is when I bought this yarn. So started and finished. I always love finished projects. Let's see, what else did I do? I was doing a little bit of sewing. I haven't done too much sewing since I finished my Harry Potter dress. That was after I videoed with you guys, and I love the way it turned out. It's all black with, I think, golden Deathly Hallow symbols on it, and I turned that into a dress just like the other two that I've shown you guys that I've made from 100x of Sewing. And so I will post a picture of that at the end of the podcast too. And let's see, but that's really the only sewing I think I've done since I've talked to you guys. I'm trying to think if I showed you guys the Harry Potter bag I made too. I don't remember. But in any case, I really haven't done too much sewing since then. I've been working a lot, not now we're in quarantine, since March 15th. But you know, as you guys know, I was subbing at the school, and a big announcement, a big change in my life was December. I decided to go back to college, WGU, Western Governors University online, and I'm going for my bachelor's to be able to teach in elementary education. So I've been super busy with that, trying to juggle home life, school, work. So I haven't had a whole lot of crafting time. My husband had just came home, so I had to stop for a minute. All right, so yep, so I am now officially back in college, and so that is a big change for me. And then now we know that, you know, everybody's in quarantine. For us, it was since March 15th, and so we've been home for a little over a month, or a month and a half. It'll be 2 months, May 15th. And so the kids and I have not been off our hill since the first week of quarantine. My husband thankfully has still been able to work. Me as a substitute teacher, I haven't had a job. Well, I have my job, but I haven't been working. But trying to teach my kids at home has been a little bit of a challenge. They always say teaching your own kids is nothing like teaching other people's kids in a classroom. So hopefully that's the case. But we know we've still been doing what we need to get done. It's just been trying to stay in a routine, and still just haven't had a whole lot of time for crafting. Some, just not as much as I would have liked, but that's okay.
What?
Go grab a yogurt out of the fridge. And so I've been meaning to make a new video, a new podcast, but the kids are home and sometimes it's a little awkward or just hard to have it quiet enough to try to do this. And so, nonetheless, continue on now. So things that I have started and finished. Like I said, I finished that blanket in the last video. I think I showed you guys the finished blanket. And so I had started and finished a new blanket, crocheted in the waffle stitch. And so it is thick for sure. I had fun making this. It's very dense, but it definitely uses up more yarn compared to, I guess, the more basic crochet stitches, because it just kind of stacks on top of each other. But that is all finished. And so I have since then started another blanket, but we'll get into whips in a minute. And then the last of the things that I have started and finished since the last podcast was for Easter. I made just these cute little Peeps for Easter. This one I think looks kind of deformed. Not as happy with this one, but whatevs. But this guy's really cute, so he's definitely my favorite. So that is what I have started and finished. So before I go into, well, whips and Rhinebeck haul kind of are together because some of my whips are from my Rhinebeck haul. So I'll show a blanket that I have started that is not related to Rhinebeck haul at all, but it is very much in the middle of being worked on, so it probably won't look that fantastic. It's just granny squares that I'm doing with camo. Here, I got a square. So what I did is Red Heart Super Saver, which I did camo and like a black trim or border on it. And what I'm doing is then I am putting them together. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing attaching them in rows this way. Oh, that one's where I was working on before the video. And then what I'll do is after I'm done attaching all my rows vertically, then I can turn it and start attaching it, then the rows together. But that's kind of what I've been working on as far as a blanket goes. Alright, so into Rhinebeck haul. I have been wanting a basket like this for a while now. I know I showed you guys this awesome thrifty find that I got at a thrift store in Wisconsin when we were there visiting. And I think I even mentioned that I wanted a basket like this. And I don't remember the price that I bought this for, but I know it was a killer price compared to the baskets that are just like this that I've seen online. And so I'm mad at myself I didn't go back and get another one, but it was like, you know, do I spend more money on a second basket, or do I spend that money on more yarn and things like that? So I just stayed with the one basket. And I don't remember the name of the vendor I bought it from either, but it's such a pretty basket. And right now I took my project out of there, but in any case, it is an awesome basket. I love it. And then there was a vendor, Maggies Farm. She had a bunch of different scented soap bars. It's goat milk soap. And I was going to get quite a few more, but again, I only had a certain amount of money to spend at Rhinebeck. And so I was just trying to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I ended up going with lavender, which is my favorite scent. And so I've actually tossed this in my current whip bag, and that way every time I open it, it's just like this pleasant smell of lavender. So that is one thing that I got at Rhinebeck. And then I did get some roving and an art bat. So I will start with an art bat that I had purchased from Alex Creates, and it had a blend of merino, alpaca, silk, and bamboo. What's up, kid?
Why are you making music?
Making a podcast. And so I can attach a picture of the bat at the end of the video, but I have already spun it up. I have not washed it yet because I'm slacking. But let's see if I can get to, but it's just really fun. And so I figured I will probably make a hat for my youngest because he outgrew the last one I knitted him. So I'll probably do that this summer because hats are nice summer projects because they're not heavy or too much on your lap when you're trying to just be chill in summer. So that was one that I had made. And then another one I had from the sheep shed at Mountain View Farm. They had a bunch of rovings and fleeces, and so I ended up going with one that I have not worked with yet, which was actually Jacob.
What?
So it was from a Jacob sheep, and I ended up getting 2 of these. So I had 1 pound of Jacob that I ended up getting, and so I have spun it into a 2-ply, and I have not figured out what weight I spun it at. I washed it and I haven't rewound it to be able to do a proper count because it did bloom, but I aimed for a bulky weight, and it turned out really good. It was really cool to have.
Mom, that keeps annoying me.
So I will show you guys how much that I was able to spend from it. It ended up being quite a lot. So 1 pound, 2-plied, is quite a bit. I'll figure out exactly how much yardage and what the actual weight is. I'm thinking it's probably chunky, combination, like in between chunky, bulky. I don't think it would be quite super bulky. I would say probably just chunky, but ended up being a lot. So that was something that I got from Rhinebeck. Let's see. I've got my stuff all over the place. Hold on. All right. And one of the really big things that I wanted to make sure I got at Rhinebeck was getting 2 sweater quantity of yarn for 2 sweaters that I wanted to make, and one was they were both by Andrea Maury, Nurtured, and the other one, which is it called Wool and Honey? The sweater that has like kind of like the honeycomb look on the sweater. So I will do, which is actually a whip. The yarn I actually got for Nurtured, because it required a worsted weight, was from Green Mountain Spinnery, Maine Organic, and I've had to put it on hold because I did not get enough yarn for it. So I was able to make the sleeves, and then see, it's even got a little progress keeper. Rhinebeck. So I was able to get the sleeves done, and I started on, because it's a bottom-up sweater, and so I started the bottom, and it took one ball to make these sleeves, like together. One ball made 2 sleeves. And so then I started on the second ball, and I started thinking to myself, there's no way that this is going to be enough for the rest of the whole body. And I have been trying to find more of this. I did contact Green Mountain Spinnery, and I think they originally figured it was either March or May that they were going to have more of this in stock. It's still been out of stock. Hopefully I didn't miss it. Maybe it's May, so maybe it's this month. But now with the quarantine stuff, it's like, I'm sure everything's gonna be pushed back even more. So I've been just doing a couple of rows here and there just to work on it a little bit, but not work to the point that I'm totally out and stuck waiting, because it's a really nice knit. I love it. But that was from Rhinebeck, Green Mountain Spinnery. Lovely ladies that work there. And then let's see what else was Rhinebeck. I got to visit the Katrinkles booth, and I ended up getting a Kitchener stitch, just because I always forget it. I don't do it often enough to have it like in my brain, and so I definitely got that, along with if I'm working with double points, then it's an easy way to keep everything on the needles. And so, because I usually don't use double pointed needles for that reason, because I'm always worried about it falling off, stitches falling off my bag. So this is awesome. I haven't used it yet, but I will. And so then for the second sweater, for the Wool and Honey, or the Honeycomb sweater, that's Andrea Maury's pattern, I fell in love with Wobble Gobble yarn. Oh my gosh. So I got, I swear, I hope I've gotten enough for my sweater. But seriously, the colors and the speckles are amazing. So I'm super excited for these. In the colorway, oh man, I don't remember what the colorway was. Let's see. Or did I? There it is. So I don't have to pull it out. Okay. Cyprus? I believe so. Oh, yes, Cyprus. So Wobble Gobble. She had such beautiful yarn. It was hard to pick what I wanted to work with for that sweater, and I decided on Cyprus. So I'm very happy with my choice. So that'll be something I'll cast on at some point in the near future, hopefully. And now one thing I wanted to make sure I also got was, because I saw that La Bien-Aimée was going to be at India Untangled. That's another event that we went to while we were in Rhinebeck. Well, Socrates. Or maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe it's not Socrates. But in that vicinity. And so we did India Untangled. And I went to her booth, where she was at, I should say. And I picked up, this was a splurge yarn. I fell in love with the mustard color with these beautiful fleckies of color there. What's up, babe? Which is Cashmere Merino. That was my splurge yarn from Rhinebeck, which is going to be either a hat or a cowl. I have not yet decided yet. I've just been hoarding it instead. Oh man. Alright, and so then this one was on my wish list of cat sandwich fibers. And I actually got another one in more purple base that I gifted to one of my best friends that was not able to come. And I don't think I took a picture of it, unfortunately. But these speckles, I had to. I definitely will be buying more from her in the future because her dye job with the speckles, and they're just bright neon. I love it. This one was Trusty. The colorway Trusty in DK. It's a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. So again, not sure what I'm gonna make with it, but until then I can just enjoy looking at it because it's just scrumptious. And then of course I had to have something like a souvenir, memorable. So I got the bag from Rhinebeck for the Sheep and Wool Festival. It's 2019, so it's something that I'll always keep and love. And then we also went to, oh, I'm having such a brain fart. Yarn Bazaar, something like that. I know it's like on the tip of my tongue. And so we went there too, and that's where I've got this pin from Black Pearl Magic. I make nice shit by hand. It is the best thing since sliced bread. I had to have it. And then of course back to India Untangled, Nerd Makery was there. She had a booth, and I got myself a one of her shirts that I forgot, I didn't think to grab. And then these two pins that I've been eyeing up on Instagram forever. So yeah, that is the, oh, I got one more thing. I know I was forgetting something. Self-striping socks, mustache yarns. I have never gotten anything like that before, and she happened to have a Hogwarts colorway, so I ended up buying it from India Untangled, and it comes together in a pack. They're in hanks where they match each other, so all you have to do is wind them up into your cakes and you can start knitting, and there's like, it takes all the hard thought out of it. So I started on these, and I'm at the point where I can do that I need to make my heels, and it's just been sitting in my bag for a while because it's a heel that I have not done before. fish lip kiss seal. And so that's where I'm at. But it's got all the Hogwarts houses, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and then it just repeats itself. So these are so cool. So I've got, that's a goal of mine, is to have more socks. So slowly but surely I will have them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's the catch up. So I don't know when I'll be able to podcast again next. I'm actually going to be taking a small break from school. I'm finishing up my current class, and then I'll have a couple of weeks left before the end of my term, which isn't quite enough time for another class. So I'm thinking I will be able to accomplish some extra crafting, and if that does hopefully happen, I will make another podcast, I think, towards like the last week of May, the last week of this month, so I can give you guys a little bit of an update. So we'll see. Hopefully it won't be another 6-7 months before I podcast again.
No, not carnival.
All right, guys. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about or ask me or whatevs, just comment below. I will try to put show notes on Ravelry. Speaking of Ravelry, I need to update a lot of my projects on there. I think a couple of these newer projects that probably aren't really all that new, I have not made a project page, so I'm gonna maybe get onto that later. But yep, my show notes will be on there. Until next time, guys. Peace out.